welcome. It is time for the Legal Lounge here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, broadcasting coast to coast and around the world on CRNTalk.com, as well as on Facebook.com/CRNTalk. Make sure to join us there. I'm joined by Richard Nixon. He's a practicing attorney, noted author, America, An Illusion of Freedom, also scientist, constitutional scholar, Corvette aficionado, and amateur Conga player. Richard, sir, how you doing today?
Good, but I don't like the way the Ninth Circuit's still kicking around my president.
Yeah, the Ninth Circuit, we're going to have a lot to talk about the Ninth Circuit today. They have been in the news, definitely. Talk about that, talk about something close to my heart, tenants' rights. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and maybe some more work for attorneys regarding tenants' rights. We're also going to talk about a Ninth Circuit ruling, like we just said, regarding homelessness and public camping. This comes out of Boise. And also we're going to be talking a little bit about immigration as well. But I want to start things off, Richard, with something that I saw in the news that really kind of put a burr in me. So certain advocacy groups out there, they are pressuring the Department of Transportation as well as auto manufacturers in general to install from the factory a speed governor nationwide that would limit top speeds of all vehicles sold in the United States to 86 miles an hour. And Richard, my question to you is, what has happened to freedom in this country?
Well, again, but it depends on how you define freedom. Now, do we have freedom to speed? I don't know if we do. Some would say that we really don't have a right to drive faster than 80 or 86 anyway. But what it does is it maybe, if you will, asymptotically compares the federal government's authority to the states. In general, the federal government has no authority, at least under Article 1, Section 8, to deal with speed limits, if you will. But we do have the so-called Interstate Commerce Clause. I'm not sure what authority the federal government used to procure that, but it exists. And therefore, the question would be whether or not the states can individually interfere with the speed limit, or whether... Now, let me actually, when I think about that, they do violate anyway. The states are still free right now to have their own speed limits, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and of course, that's such a high number, 86. I can't imagine anyone saying that I need, of course, maybe if you have a Porsche or Corvette.
Yeah, I think so.
That you may want to go faster. But again, I can see the federal government maybe winning that one because of the Supremacy Clause, and as long as that law exists and it's recognized, Article 6 would give it to the federal government.
And what happened to community standards, though? I mean, it's, of course, we talked about this before. If you have, a nice Porsche or a Corvette and you're living in a very rural area, say Texas or Montana and whatnot, I think that the community should be able to dictate that. And also, what is the government doing dictating big business to really controlling products coming to market? I think that's a bit much. But
actually, now that you say that, Mike, there is an argument to be made there. It's called the so-called police power, and we've known this from day one, that the states always have had the right to...
All right, hold on, Richard. We're going to break. We'll talk about this right after the break. Stay with us here in the Legal Lounge.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
And we're back. Richard Nixon live here in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, Facebook.com/CRNTalk. And Richard, I cut you off before. Let's talk about this police powers. I apologize.
Yeah.
Police powers of the state. You know, that's usually about the community standards, but it seems like the federal government's involved in this now.
Well, again, every now and then, even Justice Scalia would revive it every now and then when it was convenient for his argument. And that is, the police power means that the states, the power is reserved to the states regarding health, safety, and morals. And certainly safety would be something regarding the speed limit, the 86-mile-an-hour speed limit. And so if a state decided 86 was safe, or no, 90 is even better, I think the states should be given, they would have an argument anyway.
Absolutely. We're going to be monitoring this case absolutely going forward because, you know, sometimes you like to drive a little bit fast when you're late. Let's see what we have next on the agenda. So this is interesting. This is an interesting case, an interesting situation that's developing across the country with housing shortages and wage growth not growing that fast. But right now, evictions are at a high right now, and advocacy groups, specifically the ACLU and others, are saying that we have the right, people should have the right to counsel in evictions. This is an article I pulled up from the Washington Post by Amanda Scott, who's a 2018 Henry S. Truman Scholar. She says that, hey, our Constitution guarantees the right to an attorney to those accused of a crime, as held in the landmark Supreme Court case Gideon versus Wainwright. But those at risk of losing their homes, there's no such guarantee. That's because Gideon covers only criminal cases, and evictions proceedings are a civil matter. And so a lot of states, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania right now, have started legal aid, specific legal aid agencies to provide tenants attorneys at eviction hearings. Richard, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, actually, there is a companion article written by someone named Claire Pastore, who's a professor of law at the USC Gould School of Law. She more or less agrees with what your article basically says, and that is, she thinks that people should have free legal counsel when they're tenants in an unlawful detainer action. But, excuse me, but she does acknowledge that we already have existing entities called legal aid. She claims they don't really handle enough of the different kinds of cases, and I think that one of the solutions would be, rather than full employment for more attorneys, is to simply expand the money that we give these people for their legal aid. And one of the problems, of course, is assuming that if a tenant had an attorney, he would somehow win the case. So it suggests somehow that the plaintiff, landlord, and the attorney take advantage of the, quote, uninformed tenant. I think that's not the case. 98% of the cases, in my experience, they're in there for the same reason. They don't pay the rent.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's because they can't afford it or they choose not to, the point is that giving that person an attorney is not going to serve any function, I think.
Yeah, 98%, like you said, Richard. I mean, it's just because they can't pay the rent that way.
Right.
And I believe that the tenants are protected based on county and municipality. For example, in Los Angeles County, we broadcast out of Hollywood, California, that you have 60 days. And once you served an eviction notice, you have over 60 days where you can still stay in the property. Tenants are protected by statute.
Absolutely. And the tenants are, like so many other groups, they've smartened up. They know exactly how to play the game. People will live in a place for a year or so, stop paying the rent, let the rent accumulate for 3 or 4 months, then decide to leave, voluntarily leave. The landlord waives the past due rent, and he goes to another place. So he ends up saving 2 or 3 months' rent each time he moves to another location.
And I think oftentimes people have a socialized view of what a landlord is, as some greedy Dickensian figure or some corporation. But believe it or not, there are plenty of property owners that own one property as a rental, and they count on that income in their retirement.
Absolutely. Again, it almost goes, it's a little bit of socialism within our midst of capitalism, and there are those who say rent control is really not constitutional, but we have it. So,
but also, I mean, we've talked about before. I mean, you've represented somebody who had a donut shop for 25 years, paid $2,500, $3,000 a month for rent. The property was sold. The new landlord came in and wanted $8-10 grand.
Exactly, and they couldn't pay it, so they had to leave. They lost their goodwill, and hopefully some of the customers followed them to their new location, but there's absolutely no rent control there that I know of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, commercial property owners and commercial tenants don't have the kind of protections that residential tenants have.
Right.
So, I mean, it's interesting. Rent control, I mean, as a renter myself, I like it personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there is something to be said where it's kind of antithetical to the capitalist system that we've come to expect.
What it tells us is that every one of these systems has its limitations. There's always some hypothetical that will make you... This is why, again, getting back to Trump for just a second, why I like Trump in his sense that he's not dictated by philosophy or certain stigmas or certain principles. He looks at... He's a problem solver. Whether it's a liberal idea or a conservative, if he thinks it can be fixed, he does it.
Well, as someone that lives in a de facto sanctuary city, and not speaking to this based on ideology, but just on practicality, when you have a sanctuary city, you have hundreds of thousands of people coming to this city. They need housing, and that creates a housing shortage.
Exactly, and again, the problem is that these people that are being imported from other countries that come in here happen to be low-income people, and we seem to be arguing that what that means is either the government or the landlords should cater to them and reduce their rents. Now, again, if these people coming in were high-rent people, that is, high-income people, we wouldn't have this problem. We wouldn't. They'd be qualified and able to pay the rents that are asked for.
And this is, just a byproduct of modern economics, of supply-side economics. What you're seeing is people, they're not developing low-income housing because it's not a feasible investment when you have people who not going to pay their rent, people where it takes months, if not years, of costly litigation to resolve property disputes. Why don't you just build a multi-family or a single family dwelling and rent that out, and you have a safer investment.
Yes, and again, my point is that, at least in this article from Ms. Pastore, she seems to be suggesting that if these tenants had lawyers, they wouldn't lose their cases, and I think I'm here to say that's not true. They would probably lose as many.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think that having representation before the court is probably a smart thing.
It is, but let me say this too that we said earlier, Mike. There's very few judges that would allow a plaintiff landlord's attorney to take advantage of a defendant tenant. What the judge will usually do is act as their advocate. Frankly, they're not really supposed to, but they'll ask them questions to draw out if there is some possible defense. For instance, why can't you pay the rent?
Yeah.
Is the place uninhabitable? They'll draw that information out for them. If you put a second attorney in there, a 5-minute trial could take an hour.
Exactly.
And we clog up the courts. So I'm not sure that her idea is a good one.
Yeah, speaking of clogging up the courts, we're going to talk more about that vis-a-vis immigration later on. But if any property owners or renters out there want to disagree or chime in, shoot Richard an email, richardnixon@crntalk.com. Or also make sure to follow Richard on Twitter @RichardANixon1. That's @RichardANixon1. And check out his website, www.pres37th.wx.com/America, or search America, an Illusion of Freedom on your Google machine. And we'll be right back right after the break.
Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. We provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, CRNTalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku on any TV anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at CRNTalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk.
Were you scammed into signing a timeshare contract? And did you miss the part that said you have to pay for your great idea? Not only for the rest of your life, but when you're not here anymore, you get to pass this turkey onto your family for them to pay for the rest of their lives. Thanks, Dad. Don't burden your family down the road, and don't be stuck with expensive timeshare payments forever. Get out of your bad idea timeshare contract guaranteed, or pay nothing. Call Resort Release today and learn for free how their timeshare exit team can help you legally exit your timeshare contract. They've helped thousands of people, and they're A+ rated with a BBB. So if you feel scammed, get mad and get out of your expensive timeshare contract right now, guaranteed. Call NOW.
800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. 800-716-9903. That's 800-716-9903.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer telling you about my favorite Italian restaurant. It's Angelo's and Vinci's in Fullerton, California. Angelo's and Vinci's has the best pasta, the best seafood, the best salad, spaghetti, lasagna, and the most incredible pizza. And the chicken is delicious. Marsala, piccata, cacciatore, parmigiana, and more. For desserts, try our spumoni or our tiramisu, my favorite, flown in fresh from Italy. And the cannolis and the zeppolis are out of this world. Open for lunch and dinner. And don't miss the Sunday champagne brunch, just $23.95. Are you kidding me? It's all up the road from Disneyland at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Angelo's and Vinci's, like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. Call 714-879-4022 or visit us online at angeloandvincis.com.
All right, and we are back. Richard Nixon live here in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, Facebook.com/CRN Talk. Let's get to it. We have two cases out of the Ninth Circuit, our friends up north in the Ninth Circuit. And the first one is a case we covered a couple months ago, and now we're following up. This is the Martin versus Boise case. And the headline here is that a federal appeals court, which is the Ninth Circuit, has left undisturbed a decision holding that homeless people can't be prosecuted for sleeping on public property unless alternative shelter is available. Can't be prosecuted for sleeping on public property, which is codified via city ordinance, unless alternative shelter is available. And we've briefly touched on why this is problematic for law enforcement. But the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals at San Francisco denied en banc review regarding this case. Briefly describe what en banc review means to our listeners, Richard.
Yes, well, this decision comes out of the Ninth Circuit, and it's only involving 3 justices, if you will. If it were to go to en banc, it would be, I believe, 9 or 10 justices would then hear the same case, like an appeal. And this majority here, 2-1, is saying we don't want it reviewed. We've decided this enough. But as you know, that there's a very, very, I think, excellent dissent in this case, where basically, very briefly, let me say that what the dissent is saying under Justice Smith, that under the panel's decision, local governments are forbidden from enforcing laws restricting public sleeping and camping unless they provide shelter for every homeless individual within their jurisdiction. Moreover, the panel's reasoning will soon prevent local governments from enforcing a host of other public health and safety laws, such as those prohibiting public defecation and urination. And he's basically saying if we keep this up, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, that opinion, that dissenting opinion from Ninth Circuit Judge Milan Smith. And the majority, they found that this particular issue has Eighth Amendment implications, Richard, which I believe you find a little bit spurious.
Yes, but again, the Eighth Amendment basically says no cruel and unusual punishment. But that only applies post-conviction. That is to say, once a person has been convicted, the Eighth Amendment basically says the punishment must fit the crime, so to speak. Personally, I have two problems with that. Number one, applying the Eighth Amendment, which is part of the Bill of Rights, to the states. It was never intended to apply to the states.
Marbury versus Madison.
Yes, Eighth Amendment was intended to apply only to the federal government. And you're a good student, Mike. And the other thing, of course, is that the Eighth Amendment only kicks in, or is only triggered, if you will, post-conviction. And several of the people in this particular case have not been convicted yet. So technically, they don't even have standing. So I think that the dissent is far more logical and a lot less Orwellian than is the majority opinion here.
Yeah, my reading of the Eighth Amendment, Richard, it's broken into three different legs of the stool.
Yes.
That's to do with excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. I don't see how this case satisfies any of those three requirements of the Eighth Amendment.
No, it doesn't. And in fact, you see what the dissent points out again is the majority keeps arguing that what Boise and other places are doing is punishing a person's status. That is, the fact that he's homeless. No. What we're saying is, regardless of whether you're homeless or have a home, you can't sleep on public property.
Yeah.
And you can't lay there, and you can't do other bodily functions there. So again, it is unconstitutional to punish someone for their status, but that's not what these laws do. They punish people for their actions, not their status, and that's why the Ninth Circuit majority opinion here is wrong.
Yeah, the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty, they applauded this decision, but like you said, Ninth Circuit Judge Milan Smith dissented and followed this logic, this Orwellian logic, like you might say, that almost all city ordinances now can be unenforced because of this particular reading in this case. So this is going to head to the Supreme Court, right?
Absolutely, because if there is a saving grace here, the dissent points out to what extent this Ninth Circuit disagrees or is inconsistent with the Fifth and other circuits. This will definitely cause the Supreme Court to take on this case, or these cases, because the Supreme Court has to resolve these differences.
All right, we'll see how Swingin' John Roberts handles this case. We'll be right back right after the break, you guys. Talk more about those wackos in the Ninth Circuit. Be right back right after the break. Stay with us here in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, broadcasting live coast to coast around the world on CRNTalk.com, Facebook.com/CRN Talk. Stay with us.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
This is the Entertainment Answer. What does actor Zach Galifianakis say are some powerful themes in his new film, Missing Link?
Friendship, seeing the world is a really big theme, to get out of your comfort zone and to open your eyes to other ways of how people live. I think this is a really, really great kids movie, and it could go down kind of as a classic to me. And I'm not saying that because of it, I'm saying because of Chris's work.
Missing Link, rated PG in theaters April 12th. For this Entertainment Answer, I'm Matt Mungle.
We are the debt destroyer. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now to get our free report that tells you how to destroy your debt. It's a great resource. Plus, when you make this free call right now, we'll have a debt destroyer expert ready to help you. They can show you how they can help you destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help you slash your debt. Call right now for free information, including our Debt Destroyer Guide, a $300 value, yours free. Call right now.
800-515-6348. 800-515-6348. That's 800-515-6348.
Want to build your brand? Get boldly distinctive results with Catalyst Nutraceuticals. Catalyst Nutraceuticals are your full-service specialists for formulating and manufacturing. Let us handle your nutritional supplements. Let Catalyst Nutraceuticals make a difference for your product and brand. Go to catalystnutra.com, CATALYSTNUTRA.com, or call 678-641-9941.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
And we are back. Richard Nixon live here in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com. I'm joined by Richard Nixon, noted author and attorney, also a veteran, and we love connecting vets on this show. So if anybody out there has served with Richard in his time in the armed services or in Vietnam when he was a contractor, please give us a call here at the office, 818-818-6400, or shoot us an email, richardnixon@crntalk.com, because we love reuniting vets. We think it's very, very special. So this is another Ninth Circuit case that I actually dug up, Richard, which I think is quite pertinent to a lot of the issues we've discussed before on this show. The Ninth Circuit, like we said, out of San Francisco, California, has ruled an asylum applicant has a right to go before a judge, setting up a Supreme Court showdown. So the background on this case, and I believe this case is pretty unique. This is a gentleman, a man named, I'm going to give this a go, so stay with me, Vijay Kumar Thurgayizan. He's a Sri Lankan gentleman, age 46, who came to the United States via illegal crossing of the Mexican border, Mexican-American border, and he was initially requested asylum. And he claimed that as a member of the rebel Tamil Tiger group in Sri Lanka, which has waged an insurgency against the Sri Lankan government for over 40 years, he claimed that he was tortured and jailed and for political activity during that civil war between the Tamil Tigers and the Sri Lankan government. So he requested asylum, and the way it works now is that there's an initial screening, what's known as a credible fear interview, where one would have to show well-founded personalized fear of persecution, torture, or death if he or she was to return to his or for her home country. And people say that this is onerous, but not necessarily, because the initial interviews are meant to be inclusive, and nearly 90% of all asylum seekers pass their initial interview. Well, this particular gentleman, this member of the Tamil Tigers, he did not pass this initial cursory interview. And what would happen is the ACLU sued on his behalf, and the Ninth Circuit ruled that even though this man was initially rejected based off this cursory asylum interview, he has the right to see a judge. And I want to say something that might
please do,
that is kind of interesting to me. A lot of people on the right, they get accused of being a crying wolf, saying that terrorists are going to come in from the southern border. Well, here's an instance of a gentleman who is part of a very, very violent separatist group in Sri Lanka, who has come to this country via the open Mexican border. So, Richard, what do you think particularly about this case, the Ninth Circuit, and this man's ability to, even though he was rejected initially on an asylum where nearly 90% of all asylum seekers pass, he gets to see a judge?
Frankly, I think the Ninth Circuit has fallen in line with those people who, for political purposes, are willing to risk the people of this country and allowing people in that should not be here, acting counter to what the president wants to do, which is to keep us all safe, or as much as he can. I'm just losing more and more respect regarding this Ninth Circuit. If there is any good news, though, President Trump has been filling some of the vacancies in the Ninth Circuit. So perhaps in, maybe not my lifetime, but your lifetime, Mike, maybe we'll see a change in the Ninth Circuit.
Well, not only does this have implications about national security, but if you allow every asylum seeker to see a judge now, that's going to make the backlog, which is more than 700,000 cases of immigration cases and asylum cases, it's going to add to that as well.
And that's exactly why these people do it. And like I said, the Ninth Circuit and the left in this country are in league with these people who are gaming the system. They know, as other people have said, they send a family over here to the left. They know the people on the Homeland Security will be busy tending to their needs, and then they just direct their attention to somewhere else, and they come in undetected.
A friend of the show and Daily Junior contributor, our friend John Eastman, he's a Chapman University law professor. I mean, he reiterated your general point that, quote, we'll see if the ruling stands up on appeal when it gets to the Supreme Court, Eastman said. It seems to me that this is another example of perfectly okay if other presidents do it. I believe he's referring to President Obama, but not this particular president. And based on, we talked about this in the last case, but the panel of that the Supreme Court hasn't considered this question. The only other court to rule on this specific issue is the Third Circuit, based in Philadelphia, and they reached a different conclusion, deciding in 2016 that immigrants arrested just after crossing the border were not entitled to a court hearing to challenge deportation. So we have a conflict between the Third Circuit and the Ninth Circuit, so we will see this in the Supreme Court?
Yes, we do, and of course it's ripe for a decision by the Supreme Court, because frankly that's what they like. A split, because we can't have one part of the country being governed by one law and another part being governed by another. So it's likely that the Supreme Court will eventually resolve this issue. Plus, all is not lost, because you'll recall last week we had some good news regarding the Ninth Circuit and the fact that the Supreme Court had reversed 2 cases of the Ninth Circuit that originally had gone against the president. And one of them, of course, is the case that basically says that if the arresting authorities in the federal government come upon a person who's here illegally and who has committed a crime and has done his time, so to speak, regardless of how late after he's done his time, the arresting authorities find that person, they can immediately deport him. There is no intervening hearing such as the one you're presenting right now.
And I believe one of the Trump's administration's plans to deal with this backlog, specifically when it deals with asylum seekers, is that they want immigrants seeking asylum to actually apply for asylums in their country of origin, or what's known as a third safe country.
Exactly. You're very wise to mention that, because I think a lot of our listeners know who Chris Kobach is. He's the former Kansas Secretary of State, and he suggested several things that could be done by the Trump administration that he thinks would solve a lot of the problems here. And one of them is to shut down all remittances going to Mexico. I understand that remittances are one of the three most lucrative, if you will, sources of income to Mexico, besides oil and so on.
I want to talk about that right after the break, Richard. I want to talk about the issue of remittances, and I want to talk more about this particular issue. And also, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the Mueller Report and William Barr. You guys stick around. This is the Legal Lounge with Richard Nixon here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, Facebook.com/CRNTalk. Thank you to all of our Facebook listeners and watchers as well. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. You guys stick around in the Legal Lounge here with Richard Nixon live on CRNTalk.com.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
And we are back. Richard Nixon live here in the Legal Lounge on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com, talking all things legal, all things constitutional. And before the break, we were talking about remittances. Remittances are when sojourners or immigrants, both legal and illegal, send back monies earned in their current country of residence back to their original country. And some say it is an over $90 billion part of the Mexican economy and other Central American countries as well. Half of their GDP sometime is based on remittances. Richard, I mean, I believe that people have the right to send money back to their family, but what they're doing though is this creates a drain on our economy in two ways. First, on taxes not being paid, on the remittances, and on the income. And like you said, that interesting gentleman, former Secretary of State. I have my notes right here.
Kansas Secretary
of State.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Kobach, who's actually a brilliant man just based on his CV. He's got a Harvard undergrad, an Oxford master's degree, and a JD from Yale. He has some interesting suggestions when it comes to this remittances. Please go ahead.
Yes, he says we basically can threaten, which Trump likes to do, shut down these remittances because I understand they are like 1/3 of Mexico's total economy. Besides the oil income that they get, remittances from us, and the sale of cars and so on, their exports. But what he says is we can insist that they become, if you will, a so-called safe third country for asylum applications. So in other words, because we have such an arrangement with Canada right now, so it's something that could reasonably be done. And it doesn't require Congress, as far as I know. And basically what it would say is that from now on, people who are applying for asylum could do it in Mexico. And if Mexico won't agree to that, then we cut off their remittances, or we tax them. And Trump, again, he likes to use tariffs and taxes to bargain, and I think he's so far done a very good job.
Why do you think Mexico is hesitant to have their, as a staging area, as a third-party safe country, while these asylum requests are being... Would Mexico be actually paying for this? I don't understand why they're hesitant to do this.
Well, I'm not sure what the details would be, but except now you have to remember, all these people that are coming up from their southern border are now living in Mexico to a certain extent. So it's only to the extent that they can allow them through their border to the United States that it alleviates their problem. So frankly, they get rid of their problem, and they don't want people stacking up there, if you will, in their country. But unless they're willing to do it, the other option is for them to shut down their southern border like it used to be. They've opened it up for some reason, and they've created their own problem. So again, Trump likes to bargain, and I think this is one excellent idea on the part of Mr. Kobach.
Very interesting read. And I want to move on. This is an interesting, this has all been in the news for the past 2 years, but now it's starting to finally, seems like it's coming to a head. We're talking about the Mueller Reports and the redactions that are set for before its release. Attorney General William Barr said that he will have the redactions prepared on the Mueller Report done in a week, and will then present it to the proper authorities and then the public at large. And certain members of Congress, I believe Representative Nadler, says, no, that's not enough. We want the whole thing. We want the whole enchilada. And Attorney General William Barr, he thoughtfully said, no, we can't do that. We have to redact certain things for 4 particular reasons. Can you give our listeners what those 4 particular reasons are?
And if, in fact, these 4 reasons are absolutely mandatory. If those of us who are old enough to remember the Ken Starr report that independent counsel against President Clinton at the time, it was because the Ken Starr report was totally open to everyone, made public, that many of us know about Monica Lewinsky and the cigar, and I'll leave it there. But after that, the law was passed to limit and to permit redactions of certain areas. One, at least, is the so-called grand jury secret testimony. Another would be the sources and methods of their having found this, conducted this research. Another one is the so-called innocent individuals, those people who said things in the report, however, who are not going to be prosecuted. There's really no reason to mention them. And the last one is just ongoing investigations.
And I think, I view Monica Lewinsky in a very sympathetic light. I believe that I think what happened with the Mueller investigation, I think was appropriate, should have happened to Bill Clinton. I think they should have said, no, there wasn't any obstruction of justice. And all these sordid details about the relationship between President Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, therefore, would have been considered violating the privacy of peripheral players.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't have had this constitutional crisis and all this loss of faith and credibility of the Clinton administration, which I think was very damaging. And so I think that the way that this has been handled regarding those 4 instances of redactions is fair and proper.
Quite frankly, in my mind, Clinton was not the worst president. He worked very well with Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was in charge of the House at the time. They actually balanced the budget. They actually had a surplus. So the two of them worked together. Clinton, although he was a Democrat, he knew when to make a deal and when not. So, again, I repeat, he was not our worst president.
Yeah, we'll be back right after the break, you guys. Wrap things up here in the Legal Lounge on CRN Digital Talk Radio, crntalk.com. Make sure to follow Richard on Twitter at RichardA.Nixon1. Also, make sure to visit his website, www.pres37th.wix.com/America, and purchase his fabulous book, America, An Illusion of Freedom, available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and as well as on iTunes. We'll be back right after the break here in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, crntalk.com. Stay with us.
We
are the debt destroyer. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now to get our free report that tells you how to destroy your debt. It's a great resource. Plus, when you make this free call right now, we'll have a debt destroyer expert ready to help you. They can show you how they can help you destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help you slash your debt. Call right now for free information, including our Debt Destroyer Guide, a $300 value, yours free. Call right now.
800-515-6348. 800-515-6348. That's 800-515-6348.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644. 800-915-2644.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to get to Colombo's. Colombo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. It's time to leave the cocoon. No more rain and cold weather. Enjoy the deliciousness of Colombo's. It's not just the delightful and tender steaks, the to-die-for fish specialties, Colombo family Italian specialties, along with jazz every night and the world's greatest meatballs. It's the feeling you get at Colombo's. It's easy, friendly, not phony, and so far away from Beverly Hills prices, it makes for, oh yes, experience. It's easy, and don't we all need a large dose of easy and enjoy? Don't deny yourself and the family. It really is good times central. That's why you have got to get to Colombo's, because it really is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Colombo's, manja.
And we are back here in the Legal Lounge. Richard Nixon live here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We want to wrap things up with, so we got to say goodbye to DHS, Department of Homeland Security's Christine Nielsen. She has resigned. I think that might be a polite way of saying that. She might have been shown the door, but it's been no secret that President Trump has been a little frustrated with her reticence to enact some of his policies regarding border security. And I was talking with Jennifer Horn, the great host of the Morning Answer, and on AM 530 and AM 870, syndicated all over the globe about this particular issue. And she said that this is going back. Even John Bolton a couple months ago was saying that she's not getting the job done. What did you think about her performance and the way that she was ushered out of the White House, Richard?
Well, it's pretty hard to distinguish between her performance and her problems when it's clear that the Ninth Circuit has created so many of these problems. Had the Ninth Circuit not interfered with a number of these Trump dictates, I think she could have done a much better job. She did seem to have kind of a soft spot for the kids, and I guess she should. But the question was whether or not she was aggressive enough. I think that's the word, aggressive enough. Some things she could have done that I think she didn't do, namely, if you will, tracking people once they were given their asylum hearing and failing to appear for the second hearing, those people were just free to go anywhere they wanted. President Trump is now saying we have to start tracking those people somehow. And I think maybe she wasn't either in favor of that or simply didn't put much effort in that.
Yeah, that's the common consensus I'm gathering from multiple news sources, is that she was pretty much hamstrung by decisions of the Ninth Circuit and beyond regarding certain immigration policies that the administration wanted to enact. And President Trump was frustrated that she wasn't pushing it back against these. Yes. And so what he did is that Trump announced via Twitter that he's going to name Customs and Border Patrol Director Kevin McAllen. He's going to take over DHS, and he's got a lot of experience directly on the border.
That's what I understand.
So we shall see what will happen henceforth regarding that. But I do think that President Trump was pretty magnanimous with her.
Yeah,
leaving.
I think, as you said, I think he's mellowing just a bit, a little bit less sarcastic. But on the other hand, I don't know that they ever had any words, that is, criticism of each other. So, and she hasn't said anything negative about him yet either.
Mm-hmm.
So. But if I might, one thing I wanted to mention before we leave the Ninth Circuit case, the homeless case, if you will, that it is clear that, and I'm going to read this from the dissent real fast, it's a timeless adage that states have a universally acknowledged power and duty to enact and enforce all such laws as may rightly be deemed necessary or expedient for the health, safety, morals, and comfort of the people. And so it looks as though, again, the Ninth Circuit is stepping into an area which, from day one, should have been and has been resolved by the states.
And that's one of the great overarching lessons of this show and the book, that states' rights are important.
Absolutely.
And that was what the founding fathers, we are a confederation of states, we are a republic of states, not a monarchical federal government ruling for all. And so make sure to read Richard's book for more of that, America: An Illusion of Freedom.
Very well said, Mike.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Learn from the master. We'll be back next week, you guys. Make sure to check out all the previous episodes available on YouTube. Just search YouTube for Richard Nixon Live or the CRN Digital Talk YouTube channel. Also available on Facebook, facebook.com/CRNTalk/videos. Until next week, Richard, thank you very much.
And thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for listening. All our listeners out there around the world, around the globe. Follow Richard on Twitter at Richard Nixon, Richard A. Nixon1, and shoot us an email, richardnixon@CRNTalk. See you next week in the Legal Lounge here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com.